the 2016 sports year. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Sully, how are you this morning?
What's happening, bud? Hope you did your research. We got the year in review edition show coming up here.
All right, I'm going to rely on a shaky memory right here. I was there for most of it, so I'll try to recall some of the better events.
What when you're just thinking about it off the top of your head, what really stands out to you about this year? I mean, obviously you've been doing this for a long time, and a lot of great games and great storylines every year. Anything really come to the forefront for you?
Well, a couple things. I think doing it a long time now, I think of the personalities and kids you meet along the way and stuff like that. So, what pops into my mind right away is, Saeed Nelson of St. Augustine and kind of the run. He took St. Augustine basketball team onto that state non-public A title. And, I remember that night at the Battle by the Bay last January, that Saturday night when, St. Augustine was playing CBA. The score was tied with about 10 seconds left. Atlantic City's gym was packed, and the whole crowd kind of stood as one because, you knew Saeed was taking the last shot, and he was able to drive to the basket and score the winning basket, and really just a great moment. And another kind of moment that sticks out is, Alyssa Aldridge, a mainland regional, winning that back-to-back Meet of Champions cross-country title, and her kind of just standing in the middle of a mainland scrum of students, parents, and fans with a big smile on her face as they kind of cheered for her and kind of recognized her achievement. So those are just two of, the kind of special moments that, you kind of remember from 2016. Yeah,
and Mike Frankel and I talked about that Egg Harbor Township Eastern softball game, an epic game, 13 innings. I mean, that had a little something for everybody in terms of high school softball, and there was a lot of games like that where you look back and you're like, man, that was a heck of a game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of great games. You mentioned that Egg Harbor Township softball team, which went on a great run. You talk about the Millville football team and Clayton Scott, and being there on that Friday night up at Rancocas Valley, Millville on the road. Clayton Scott carries the ball 39 times, leads Millville to victory, and then he's so tired that Millville coach Dennis Thomas actually picks Clayton Scott up, puts him on his back, and gives him a piggyback ride to the post-game huddle. It's just little things like that are kind of what you remember. Another great moment was Saturday night in March where packed gyms, which are always kind of magic. Atlantic City goes up on the road to Washington Township, faces a veteran Washington Township, and the Atlantic City boys basketball team with three sophomores kind of leading the way. Ray Bethea Jr., Nazim Derry, and Nazir Morgan kind of go in and upset Washington Township on their way to a South Jersey title. So what really stands out is the athletes and the coaches and really the kind of moments, like you said, the great games, the packed gyms, the big crowds at football games. That's what really kind of stands out about the year.
And getting back to the spring, Mike, I mean, I've been talking about this for the last couple of years, sort of the resurgence of high school baseball in South Jersey, sort of a byproduct of the Mike Trout and Matt Caesar era, really a renewed interest in high school baseball. And you've seen that the last couple of years. And more so this past spring was kind of the year of the pitcher. So many great pitchers out there, guys like Sean Mooney and Gerace from mainland, couple of those guys from St. Augustine, just some great arms. Almost every week you could find a game where there was a kid throwing 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think you hit on it right there. I mean, you talk about the resurgence of high school baseball in the area. Back when I first started in the early 90s, I mean, high school baseball around the Cape Atlantic League was not, when compared to the rest of the South Jersey, there were exceptions here and there, but it kind of struggled a little bit. And now you look at it and really, you look at what Ocean City did this year, what St. Augustine's done, what Mainland's done the past couple of years, what Millville does year in and year out. And you look at the quality of players that the area has produced. Mike Trout obviously being top of the list, but Matt Caesar, Joey Gatto of St. Augustine, Aaron Cox of Millville, and now you've got Buddy Kennedy of Millville, who will be a senior this year, who's kind of attracting a lot of draft attention and is starting to get some notice for Major League drafts. So it really has gone from being kind of, at one point the high school baseball season was almost kind of an afterthought, and now it's gone from that to being, probably one of the premier, right up there with anything in the Cape Atlantic League.
Talking with Mike McGarry, President of Atlantic City. Mike, wanted to get your take on an interesting story that unfolded last spring, that you were basically living and breathing there for about a 4-week stretch, was Jason Groom of Barnegat. And such an interesting story. He comes back home to Barnegat from the IMG Academy, all that craziness with him being ruled ineligible for 30 days. He had handlers. He had all kind of, it was just kind of something we don't see normally in South Jersey, with that kind of hype and notoriety around one athlete.
No, it really was a national story. I think it's, and I think it was almost the allure of the pitcher almost. 6'5" left-handed pitcher ends up being the number 12 pick by the Boston Red Sox, and it's also a commentary on on the times and just the kind of world we live in, the social media world, the internet world, where and people wanted to see him pitch, and he became, he was talked about being the top pick in the draft, and he attracted media attention from Philadelphia, New York. And what stands out about that, that 6-week stretch for me is, no matter what happened, I thought Jason Groom handled the situation with class and really, acted great, and with, really showed a maturity during the whole experience. And you talk about events, another great event, there's so many of them, sometimes slip your mind, is that night over in Camden at the Campbell's Field over in Camden, on the shadow of the Ben Franklin Bridge, where, the 6,000 people show up to watch a high school baseball game, watch Jason Groom pitch against Gloucester Catholic. All the money went to charities. So that's just another great event of the 2016 season, that, I believe it was that May night when, 6,000 fans show up to watch a high school baseball game in a great setting at Campbell's Field underneath the Ben Franklin Bridge. So again, another kind of magic moment in 2016 was that night.
Yeah, Mike, sticking with the baseball theme, obviously you had Mike Trout winning another AL MVP, but one of the other great stories from Major League Baseball was South Jersey's own Matt Caesar helping the Cubs along their way to a World Series championship. And so many cool little things, him lending Rizzo the bat. Rizzo gets hot, and he's getting interviewed during the World Series from the dugout, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of captivated the attention of South Jersey baseball fans and sports fans in general. And what a great story for that young man to be a part of that, considering all he's been through, his bone marrow, helping that young girl out, saving her life. It's just kind of the icing on the cake for Matt Caesar and his family.
Yeah, and again, a couple of times that, I've known Matt, I've covered him since high school, outstanding football, track, and baseball player at Lower Cape May. He was our press male athlete of the year. And you mentioned some of the things he's done off the field. Matt is just a great guy, does a lot for the community, runs that camp down in Cape May for kids. Really gives back to the community. I think he was Grand Marshal of the Cape May Christmas Parade or something like that. So he's still seen, he's still visible in the community, which is outstanding. And he really, and it says something about the area too, and maybe it says something about the way these guys grew up, that, you see Matt Caesar coming back to Lower Cape May, still living here. You see Mike Trout still in Millville, going hunting with Carson Wentz out in Millville, the hinterlands of Millville last week, then going to Jim's Luncheonette for breakfast or lunch or whatever. It says something about the area and the area that these guys, and the way these guys grew up, that they're not, one place in Chicago, one place in Los Angeles, and they still spend their off seasons where they grew up, around the people they grew up with, and that says something about them, and kind of the, how they were brought up and the programs they were brought up in.
Mike, give some South Jersey Eagles fans some hope here for 2017. Did they make the right choice in Carson Wentz?
I think I got to defer to Dave Weinberg on that one, maybe. I think if you look at it, I think there are some signs that yes, he did make the right choice. He has shown mobility in the pocket. He's a pretty strong kid. He seems to have an excellent a maturity factor about him. I like his leadership qualities. You can see that, yes, I'll give you some hope. I think, yes, he can be a successful quarterback in the NFL, but you never know in the NFL, what's going to happen. People, you look at the Giants, and people still debate whether Eli Manning was the correct pick, and that was 2 Super Bowl championships in about 15 years ago, and he's still on a game-to-game referendum, so you never know in the NFL.
Mike, any resolutions for 2017?
Any resolutions? I don't know. More glory days, maybe, in 2017. I just think it's going to be another great year, and the thing about high school sports is you never know what's going to happen. You never know the events that are coming down the pike. It's almost like a natural kind of rebuilding process. You don't know who's going to emerge in the spring. Last year at this time, we had no idea that, Egg Harbor Township softball team was going to, rip off that undefeated streak and play some classic games. So you never know what's going to happen with high school sports, and there's going to be more great moments and great athletes and great coaches, because, with 2 or 3 great stories are always going to emerge, and that's what makes it so much fun to cover, and that's why it really almost never gets old, because there's always, always fresh blood and a revitalization to the whole high school sports scene.
Good stuff, Mike, as always. Enjoy your night. Stay out of trouble. Stay safe here, and enjoy your New Year's Eve.
I'm too old to get into trouble now, Sully. So happy New Year's to you and all the listeners out there, and always great talking high school sports with you. Thanks for a few.
Good stuff, man. We'll catch up to you soon.
All right, see you later. Bye-bye.
That was Mike McGarry, Press of Atlantic City. Always great catching up with him.